There he is.
Hi.
Okay, here we are. Hello, and
All right.
it's another in the neighborhood. And here we are with art, talking about art, something I like to talk about. And I don't know if you want me to just blather away or
Well,
if you
you
have a
just
few.
you just
Well,
talk. I'll
let me
jump in if
blather.
I need to say something. You just keep talking. You just
Okay.
you go. You go.
Okay. Here's a pastel that I did 25 years ago. And it still stays with me. You know, every time I look at it, I almost feel like it just finished. But there are parts of it that are quite interesting, I think. And I can look at it now objectively. A painting really has movement, not when you have somebody running or like that. It can have movement even if it's a still portrait of a person that's not doing anything. And in this case, the movement is with angles. And we have a lot of them here with the feathers, the eagle feathers going this way. This is Sitting Eagle. I knew him from way, way back and in the Alberta area of the mountain. Anyway, we have the important things are design. And design, I think, is the most important thing in art. We can all somehow learn to draw realistic, but it means nothing just to draw something real and then not have it kind of brought together with an interesting design. I remember one of my favorite artists, I asked him as the final time we were together, I asked him what's the most important thing in art. Give me one thing to take away with me, and he said design. So the design is light against dark. Color is important, of course, but I have always felt that color comes once you understand value and shapes, value, for instance, from white to dark. And then you can become really, I think, and I think most artists that have gone through this, once you understand values, light to dark, you can start to throw in your own colors. And that's kind of important. But you also learn, very important word, Munsell, the Munsell color theory, which is 5 colors, red, yellow, blue, purple.
I love
the opposite of red is
colors instead of everyone else has 6. You went to 5, and I think that's the when you throw in your Discord colors, that's the key right there, is having those 5 from the Munsell.
Yeah, well, the discords, of course. But first of all, they must learn. We can talk about discords at another time, the purples and so on. But with the red, the opposite of red is in the old red, yellow, blue is green. But I think green is a little bit too warm for red. So the blue green is the more apt color to me. So red, yellow, green. And that's close to, I know I didn't say orange, but that's very close to the actual rainbow that we see up in the sky. We see red, yellow, green, blue, purple. And so the opposite would be well, just draw that out sometime and go by that. I have, and many of the artists I've noticed from the early 20th century worked with that. Whether they did it naturally or what, I don't know, but a lot of them did the reds, and then they would do the blue-greens in contrast to them. But anyway, we have here, that's kind of an aside, here we have mostly warm, and a painting should have 2 things on it. It should have a dominant value. In this case, the dominant is the light areas, and the dominant color. And the dominant color here is warm. And then with that as contrast, you can put in a bit of cool, which I have here, little cool areas, but most of it's warm. A great painting should not be, in the French Impressionists understood this. They did the cools, the greens, and all that of the landscape, and then they may throw in a red as a barn. But if you do half and half warm, half cool, it hurts the picture. It takes away the drama of the picture. As well as if you look at the French Impressionists, most of theirs was a mid value. And then they would put some dark area and some light area. Now, the thing that will overcome that, and I have seen great paintings that have had equal dark and light, if it has a phenomenal composition or sense of design. That overcomes everything.
Yeah.
So here we have the verticals here, right there, slightly vertical, and then we have the angles coming through. Also important here, and we can see it to some extent, but a very important part is a lost edge on the end of the nose. And people say, some artists say, well, gee, I better show people where the edge of the nose is. Well, the best part of that is a baby knows where the edge of the nose is without having a line on it. And because a baby sees the mother coming in the bedroom at nighttime and at 1 year old and sees just the nose and the forehead of the mother, not the rest of the face. Well, the baby understands there is a rest of the face without it having to be outlined. So in art, let's follow here. And in nature, there's lost edges. We don't see it that obvious here, but I've lost some of them fading out, you know, this kind of thing. I didn't want to put busyness down here. I wanted this to be rather sublime and left with the darks coming in here a bit, but the angle coming down that way. If I had something down there way, it would have taken away the field, the flow.
Yeah.
And there is a flow here, there, and so on. The shadows, people don't understand shadows, but we have here the light, and then touches of shadow here. And the coolness. One thing we have to remember when we're outside, the shadows are affected by the blue sky. And when you look at the snow and you see blue shadows in the snow, blue shadows on the trail, that blue is affected by the sky. The sun doesn't hit those shadows, but the blue sky does, causing the blue in the shadow of the snows. And out in the, when we're out in the outside in a nice sunny day and you look at the shadow of a post, it'll have the ground color in it, but it'll also be affected by the blue of the sky. The sky is really a great, so oftentimes on the face, you'll see the sun hitting the one side of the face and the cool of the sky hitting the other, and maybe some of the earth and so on. So there's a lot of complexities there. And it's up to the artist to kind of simplify that. I have here the deep, this is something I learned about way back in a class. If you split a face into the shadow area and the light area, you've got to make up your mind whether to have the details in the light area, which most of the time it is, and then less detail, a little more diffused in the shadow area. In other words, in the shadow area, you do not put the same amount of detail as you do in the light area. That's exceedingly important. So if there's a face that is mostly in dark, but there's a little bit of light hitting, then you put the detail in the shadow area. This is something that very few people talk about. So if the light and the dark don't do equal detail, do detail on one side if it's shadow. If it's overwhelmingly shadow, put the detail in it. Very mysterious. Then less detail in the light. Now, with regard to color, shadows don't like bright colors. So artists have to kind of tone down the color considerably in the shadow area. Here we have very warm up here where the light hits the shadow. And that's where color is often quite rich, where it's just that edge where the light hits the dark. So right there is the warmest area. And then it is that the richness of that is toned down quite a bit in the shadow area. The main thing here is we have here this coming down, coming down here. I wanted that to dissipate. We don't have to put details in it. We all know what's happening here. In photograph, you probably see all of these things happening. When you're doing art, you have a choice of erasing or dissipating certain areas. I love also the fact that some areas are soft edge, some areas are hard edge. And I love putting them together, soft and hard. See the soft there and then more crisp there. Also, when something goes around a bend, when something goes around, you may want to soften it somewhat, just so it doesn't look like it's a flat surface. Sometimes flatten it or soften it right in there. You see right in there, it goes in there. Cast shadow and form shadow. The cast shadow is, here's a form shadow right here. Form, caused by form. Cast shadow is when the light can't hit in there. And it casts a shadow in there. That's a combination of form and cast. Underneath the nose, we often see the shape, not here, but the shape of the nose against the upper lip with a person. And that's a cast shadow. The cast shadow would be that post and the shadow that it causes on the ground. So understand cast shadows and form shadows. The edges of here softened. I took out the colors here, you know. These are things that artists, after you've done them many, many times, your subconscious actually takes over. And a lot of my subconscious got to work in here. Doing almost, if you look at just this part, it's almost abstract. When you put it together. And here, almost abstract. But that's when I was with the pastel, just kind of going, ooh, ooh, ooh. And that action, that reaction is from, many years of drawing pictures. But I like the fact that the eye is allowed to come in here, right there. It's allowed to come in from the side into the face.
Well, yeah.
And it's allowed to come in
Beautiful
here.
soft edge up at the top. Almost at the very top, you've got some sky color up there that's almost an exit point, allowing the viewer to come from wherever right down into the figure, and that lost edge on the nose lets you go right into the circular shape in the face. You can get right in there. It's awesome.
Yeah, the form of the face, that's right. Comes right in there. You see the coolness in there from the sky and the sun. This part is so important. A lot of artists may be tempted to say, oh, I better show the edge of that. No, no, no. So, you know, I thrown in a lot of things in here, and I think what I've said, it probably is a number of things that artists do know, and then some soft, a crisp edge here, and then it softens down towards here. Oftentimes, in a picture, you'll see it with Rembrandts and so on and so forth, along the edge. It's not a principle that you have to stick to. But oftentimes when we do this kind of work right here, we soften it slightly. So the crisper parts are often, and the light and dark are near the center of interest. The more crisp darks and lights of the two shapes, and then a little less so. But of course, this picture without that would be much less. That adds a lot of the dynamics.
Can you do that again?
And drama. Without this here, the picture would be a lot less dramatic.
That allows it to have 3 dimensions.
Yeah. It does that. It does that. And so that's a fair analysis of one of my pictures. And you know, doing it, a lot of the work that I've done, gosh, through the early years, I did everything from life. And there's many stories to that. And doing from life really is a great background to when you're in your studio by yourself and you have a photograph that you have to work from, because in many cases the person is not interested in sitting or standing or whatever when you're out in the active field. Then all of those drawings in that come together, and by nature I made all of these dramatic designs and shapes happen. You know, I don't think I did any sketch, which we often do. And
a preliminary?
Yeah, I don't think I did for this one. I just think I went right at it. See, look at that, how it goes right down there. See, there's certain things when you look at a painting, how they work, you know, the different things. God, for some reason or other, I put in that. But and the thing is, you have to know when to quit. I said, now should I finish that off?
The hardest thing to learn.
No. That's right. So there, there we are.
All right.
I think I said plenty.
Show your book. Show your book. Show your book quickly.
Well, I have this one here.
That's the one. That's by popular demand. Get the book. That's the book. That has everything in it.
We'll be back to the program in a few minutes, but first of all,
what's your
if you
website?
call before midnight tonight.
Oh, jeez. Where's your website?
Harley Brown.
I have nothing to do with this book other than write it. But there's probably some magical way people can get it. I'll tell you this with this book, and whether I make a nickel or not, I'm being very honest. This book has a lot of the things that I learned from the masters. I was with a lot of mentors, and I learned stuff that you would never believe, and they were all to do with art. Each year, I got better and better and better because I was with the very best artists. And this book is loaded with them. Plus, it's also things I've learned in colleges, you know, the Art Students League in New York, Cambridge. In London and Alberta, College of Art in Alberta. But also by my own hit and miss way of doing things. This didn't work, that didn't work. And I learned as you do through life. So this really is plumb full.
And it's the easiest.
Sometimes I'll do 10.
You've written it such an easy way. Each little section is just it's just full of gems. I love that book.
Well, thank you. You and I are now very good friends.
Can I see inside it?
Well, there's certain things here. A gold medal there. Now here, like this, for instance, she was a model in that we had in Montreal at a class, and this was showing how I did it from beginning to end. And this is another model in Montreal, and there's the finish.
Awesome.
And
beautiful.
Well, thank you. I do these really. Sometimes I'll do it, of course, a commission portrait, and I'll do something knowing it'll sell. But almost, and it's hard to believe, but most of the time I do it just because I love to do it. And whether it hangs in a wall or not, you know.
You know who's on and just says hi to you?
Who?
Your adopted son, Chet. Chet Zarzan.
Oh, is it? Oh, well, great.
Say hi to Chet.
Hi, Chet. Now he's a master. Let me tell you, he knows that other side of the dark side of the weird things that happen in our darkest parts of our mind.
Doug, he's certainly an artist. Have a look at his work. Him and Dad, you know how Harley does the nightmare things sometimes?
Yes.
They have a connection. Chet and Dad have a connection.
I'll check him out.
Anyway, to all artists, and really, I say this sincerely, you got to stick to it. You got to learn. You can't just kind of slop around thinking that's very arty. Saying, well, that's from my heart. Well, I've heard that one for, most of my life. I don't want a surgeon doing my heart operation or brain operation because he's just kind of, I do it my way, and maybe I'll slip up a few things. I think that art and writing and ballet, when a ballerina is on the stage, she has to have gone through so much, as Lori would know. And I think with art, you really got to go through the stages. You really do.
Absolutely.
And
there's no way around it. There's no way around it.
No way around. And you'd be 5,000 times happier.
I'm going to turn this around so you can see people you can hold it, Daddy. And now you can see
and
people can make comments and you'll read what they say. Like the lady in Australia, I know she just said hi.
Well, hello to all those people. This is
Gail. I remember Gail. There's Chat.
This is the beauty of all this is that this is one big family.
Yes.
We're one big family. Thanks for being the
and it's great. Well, it's my pleasure, and I always feel comfortable when I'm with other artists. when,
Look what Chet says.
oh, that's great.
If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah. Well, tain't easy. You know, it's, in fact, when I went into art, I knew that,
Oh, sorry, I didn't know I was in that.
when I went into art, I knew that, well, okay, this is a big chance, but I loved it so much. For I think a week, I thought, well, I maybe better go into architecture because that's where you make the money. And I said, to hell with it, art. And whether I made money or not didn't mean a damn thing. When you love something enough, something comes from it.
Absolutely.
So there we are. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you
Here's,
for doing this.
No,
I
don't-
appreciate it so much. We'll get you.
It's something that you guys.
We'll get you to do a demo next time.
yeah, well,
We'll work on it.
done them for
Just grind it down. We'll work on you.
Now you're going to make me have sleepless nights.
Yeah, relax.
Remember, Doug, the secret is to put these things on him when he's not realizing he's about to do this.
Right, that's perfect.
He thought he was coming to sign books.
Yeah, I was coming over here to sign
Well,
books.
thank you so much for
yapper.
doing this. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thanks,
We'll
Doug.
do another one. We'll get another
it's
one. We'll do another one. All right.
Yeah, look at even Chet says it down.
Yeah, maybe I'm going to go out and have a hamburger.
Poutine.
All right.
A poutine. Yeah, I have a veggie burger.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much. And here.
No, I'm not. I'll just knock it off.
No, we're done.
Is she going to knock it off?
Thank you,
Yeah.
Lori, for doing this. I appreciate it.
Art for art's sake.
All right.
Nice,
Stay
nice.
healthy,
And
buddy.
order if you're in Canada. Plug Swinton Art Supplies.
I got
Swinton
24
Art
books.
Supplies, of
Send
course.
them anywhere. I'll send them anywhere they want.
Oh, well,
Oh, that reminds me that.
look at, I've always said that getting one of my books is equal to, 4 drive-throughs for hamburgers. You have a choice. Miss 4 hamburgers or get the book.
Get the book every time.
What's healthier for the brain?